Welcome to another Sonic Talk show. This is episode 356, recorded today live on Wednesday, 23rd of April 2014. We are, welcome everybody. Welcome to the live chatties. Thank you very much for joining us. I'll give you a sense of them. They are coming down the side here. We've got, as is so often the case now, a very fulsome chat room. Very much appreciated having your presence here, folks. Not only does it help us when I struggle to remember certain facts, but it also adds an extra sort of frisson, as we know that there are people out there live and doing that thing. So it's always good to have you there. So thank you very much. This show is brought to you by Isotope. There'll be a message from them later. We've also got a winner for last week's competition. Somebody has won RX3, their restoration bundle. And in fact, there will be another competition announced for another copy of RX3 going out today. So we had quite a good response to that. If you're not a member of Twitter, I would say you do need to be a member of Twitter for that to join. It's a very painless process, and I don't think it's going to cause you any privacy issues, but so just to let you know. Anyway, thanks very much for joining us. I've also got my remote guests who are both this side of the pond this week. We've got Gaz Williams, gazwilliams.me, professional bass player, music technologist and producer and co-host of the Sonic Talk show, Sonic Touch even, which is out hopefully tomorrow. As I was saying just in the pre-show, I'm having a little bit of trouble rendering out some video, but hopefully that will be sorted and we'll be live tomorrow, where we talk about Core Gadget.
Yes, about time as well.
Yeah, but, awesome.
Yeah, it's a good episode. I thought it was a great episode, actually. I really enjoyed watching that. So,
super. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, and we will hope to hear more from you in a second. And as we will from Robbie Bronneman, who's there in Robot Studios down in the West Country, where he's literally just kicked a client out the door so he can join us to do the show. Thank you very much, Robbie. Robbie is, as you can see, owns a serious electronic music studio, production studio, music composition, mastering, also MD for Howard Jones, tours around the world, kind of running the entire show from his... Is it a 13-inch laptop?
It's an 11-inch.
You've got it on the air now. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So the show is literally in a folder. That's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. We've all got airs. Howard's got a little air for his main stage. Our drummer's got air for his drum setup. It's all great.
Excellent. Is that all SSD, I suppose, then?
Yeah, SSDs, yeah. And we can even afford to carry a spare, and it still weighs hardly anything, so it's all good.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad to hear that you've made time for us, and we're always happy to have you on, so thank you very much. So, what was our first topic? I'm kind of distracted now. I was thinking, let me see. Yes, of course. Well, I mean, you can't have failed to see. It's been one of the more popular stories on the site, and that is news of the new Moog. It's Werkstatt, which appears to be. If I can actually, I might be able to zoom that in a bit. There we go. Oh, what have I done? Something terrible just happened. No, I got to go that way. There we are. It'll come back in a sec. I'm just trying to zoom it in. There we are. That's the Werkstatt, and this what it looks like is a kind of entry level kind of kit form. You got Volca type knob analog synthesizer. If you also see there, it says Moogfest 2014. So I'm guessing really what this is. I don't know if you know, Moogfest is actually on at the moment. It is starts today. Runs until the end of the weekend in Ashville, where home of Moog, Moog. I'll say it both ways, and then I can't be in too much trouble. But you get a VIP engineering ticket, and one of the things that you can do as a VIP engineer is make one of these. If you see, it says... hold on, I'm going to zoom in. That's it. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm zooming the whole screen rather than my... That is, in fact... it. Single voice, single VCO, LFO envelope, but it's got this kind of tiny size of patch points. So we've got quite a lot of patching going on there, and what looks to be a little kind of single octave touch keyboard. You know, obviously you're not going to be playing any acrobatic solos on there. I wonder if they're going to make it. It'd be quite exciting because Moog being, you know, everybody is very, very excited about this. At least, you know, some people are kind of saying that this would be awesome. I could buy a couple of those, assuming they do actually finally make it, or I could sell my shares in Moog because I'm disgusted because how dare they make something so trivial? I don't know. It's funny how people get about things like this, isn't it? I don't know if you've. Do you get a bit uppity about people making things that you think are somehow beneath them from a design point of view? It just seems a little bit of a strange attitude.
No, I mean, the more the merrier, surely. I mean, you know, it's those things. It looks really cool, doesn't it? Because it looks that, as you mentioned, with the tiny size of patch bay, it looks like you could actually do a lot more routing than maybe on. Well, I don't know about than something like the sub fatty, but there's a lot of
yeah, we've got direct patching to VCA, VCF, VCO, linear and exponential in, LFO in, VCF audio in, keyboard CV out, and then a bunch of out patch points. So yeah, not hugely modular, but certainly kind of more so. I mean, perhaps more so than if we sort of thought about the microbrew, perhaps.
Yeah. Are those the actual pots, or is that just the stems of the pots?
They look like the knob caps, like you get on, like they're on the Monotron. You know, the same sort of thing that you get on the Monotrons.
Tiny little things. Right, got you.
Yeah, it looks kind of. I mean, everybody's wondering. Obviously, is it a ladder filter? I mean, that's going to be the big deal. Or is it a proper Moog VCO? I mean, it looks like you've got what have you got? You've got pulse and sawtooth waves there. With pulse width modulation, which keeps me very happy, and looks like a metal case.
The thing about these things, like we were saying, like Gaz was saying, it's great if they want to diversify into other things, as long as it's all about just the quality staying up, isn't it? As soon as people start slapping badges on products that bear no kind of heritage to what they're known for, as we know with some certain products out there, you kind of lose a bit of faith in the brand. But I mean, as long as they keep that up, I don't have a problem with it at all.
No, I think it could be very cool. The thing I think that seems to be, you know, we're unclear as to whether it's going to be a release product. But what I do have news, I've actually organised a sneaky interview with, I think, Steve Dunnington, who's one of the Moog engineers. Later on this evening, I'll do it much in the same way that we do the show. He's gonna literally just come off stage from the Werkstatt workshop, where he will then talk to us about the intent and perhaps some of the other aspects of this, and we can find out a bit more. Excuse me. So I'm hoping, live from Moogfest. I'm not sure if I'm going to stream it. That might be a little bit. Well, I'll talk to him first because he might not be too happy about that or not. We'll see.
I think it's a good idea, though, for them to release a product which is essentially in the similar kind of ballpark as the Microbrute, or even lower price point like the Volkers, just because I think that's proving to be a very popular, a very popular market sector, really. And, I mean, the thing looks interesting, but it certainly doesn't look an expensive product, does it? So, I mean, why not? I don't think they've got anything to lose.
I don't think so.
Is it that they might give away too much for too little? Would that be the worry?
I think the people are assuming that maybe it seems too cheap. You know, that's the. But I think that the point of this is it's like a gateway Moog, isn't it? I mean, if you look at the Korg stuff, you know, there is nowhere to go after you've bought the Volkers. You know, they don't make an analog synthesizer that is more expensive. You know, you can't then go, oh, I actually want the real deal. You know, because there isn't a real deal unless you're maybe going to go to the
MS-20.
MS-20 Mini, I suppose, or an MS-20. That's true, but I mean, perhaps that's not so. Perhaps with the Arturia. To a degree, I mean, you could go micro brute and mini brute, but I mean, there's nowhere to go after that. Whereas with the Moog, you've got a lot of avenues that you could explore. You know, you could go up in increments. You could go, you know, the sub 37 or whatever. There's lots of directions you can go in. So, I mean, just in terms of marketing, I mean, it's a smart idea because we're all talking about it, and everybody's going, What you have to do is mention the word synthesizer, new synthesizer. I mean, what could affordable Moog? That's probably one of the best SEO from a synth-based site you could possibly imagine. But we don't know whether it's going to be really coming out yet. Have you got any Moog stuff, Robbie?
Yeah, I've got a Voyager RME. You know, the rack mount Voyager.
All right, okay.
With custom white wooden end bits on it, as you know.
Yes.
Instead of normal wood. So you might be able to see it actually if you can just turn that around. There.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah, it's just there.
That's very pretty. It's got a sort of stormtrooper vibe to it. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I love it. I mean, the only thing I can imagine people saying about it is there's a very, very clear design aesthetic, isn't there, with all Moog stuff, with the knob caps and the kind of, it follows through even to the new stuff like the slim fatty and the sub fatty and all that. Whether perhaps it's one stage to kind of losing a bit of their character in terms of what you expect from a Moog, in terms of what it is to feel, to use. But I mean, I guess people could customize if they really wanted to.
I suppose so. I mean, you could break it out. I mean, I'm guessing that's going to be pretty much circuit mount, board mount stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with it. And I like the idea of the fact that you could possibly plug in, 3 or 4 of those, maybe run it alongside. I think there's the Mutable Instruments Yarn, which is a 4-channel MIDI CV module, and you can run 4-voice polyphony, for instance, and 4 of those as a polysynth.
Yay!
Now we're talking.
Yay! Yeah. Yes.
Although, can you imagine a polyphonic mini Moog? I mean, I can't imagine. A chord on a mini Moog is going to be so dense that it's just
You can polychain, couldn't you? People polychained the sub fatty. They made a big deal of that when they brought the rack out, didn't they? And they showed all these videos of people putting together like giant sort of pseudo polyphonic Moogs with that.
Yeah, actually, Rich. Yes, as Redwalk says in the chat room, Rich might get his hands on one because he is playing with Chic at Moogfest. But that might bring us on to another topic shortly. But also in the chat room has been brought up. What's happened to the Akai Rhythm Wolf? It's been quite a number of weeks. So I think we were told that that the circuit board was fused and we couldn't listen to it. But it's been quite long enough now, surely.
They were just trying to steal Roland's thunder with the Aero, weren't they? They launched it there before it was ready, I think.
It certainly wasn't ready.
Skullduggery, I call it.
Skullduggery, you think? Yeah. Well, yeah.
Perhaps it wasn't. Perhaps it was just R&D to see what people's reaction would be.
Well, that is possible. That's not unheard of, particularly with.
Yeah, but they're not breaking any laws, though, are they?
No,
that's
exactly.
That's an absolutely fine thing to do at a trade show. It's like, here's our product. We're going to be launching it later in the year. But,
yeah, I think the problem is probably a more media problem than anything else. We're so quick off the mark, and the news spreads so quickly and so everywhere. If you've got a particular niche interest, that it's like, I want it now. I've seen it. Right, when can I buy it? People get a bit uppity about it, but yes, it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm not expecting it to be. A definitive analog drum machine. I mean, it looks cheap. It is cheap. It's going to be what? I can't remember what it was. Under $200. So
159 quid it's listed for, UK pounds. 159.
Just trying to get a bit of Volker action, isn't it? I think.
Let's hope it's not going to be as long getting hold of that as it is getting hold of an iConnectivity 4.
I was going to say that. I mean,
it's like I feel like I'm on some sort of holy quest for one of those.
It's like you bought.
I know. It's like launch it and have everybody salivating for it, and then 2 years later, where is it?
I did. I bumped into the marketing guy at Messe, and he said, "It's coming. Honestly, it's coming." I didn't actually chase it. It's like maybe it's Robbie. Maybe it's the equivalent of buying a Tesla. Maybe they just make them. Have you pre-ordered? Maybe they're just making it. Maybe they're like imps.
We pre-ordered 3 of them. We pre-ordered 3 of them a year ago from Thomann, and then got our money back because we thought it's never coming. And then I think they've been through 2 different distributors now. I think they've finally settled on a UK distributor, and I've heard on the grapevine that it will be within the next 2 or 3 weeks. They'll be available.
Well, that sounds that's quite because I still want one of those.
That was actually the guy at iConnectivity.
Yeah. Have you tried the 2, Robbie?
Yeah, I've got the 2. It's great.
And does it integrate? Does it actually integrate? I mean, I know you're not much of an apps kind of sound source, but if you were to use it, have you found that it integrates?
Yeah, I mean, it works every time I want to do an app thing. That works perfectly for that, and it's great. Now I've got the power supply because it charges up the iPad and stuff. But it's just I want to replace my flaky Motu MIDI Express 8-channel interface with 2 of those to handle all my MIDI.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it's funny that they release another product, an audio product, when the other ones aren't even out yet.
I know.
I was that the I think was that the prototype?
The Audio
I saw
4 or something Connect.
Yes, I saw
Connect
that.
audio.
I didn't notice. Have they actually announced that properly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
for mic freeze, which again is like, wow, it's just like a single audio interface that can go between a computer and an iPad. It's another holy grail kind of device, but it's like, hang on a minute, you can't be,
can't be doing
whetting
that.
our appetites again with that until you deliver on your other, But I mean, for me, I'm still waiting for that iConnect MIDI for the hub functionality. I think it's such a cool thing to be able to utilize your MIDI devices like maybe a Cuneo or an Teenage Engineering OP1, or I mean, I've got a bunch of things here that are USB only MIDI devices, and that for me is that's what I want to have, like a system that I don't have to have my computer involved in to have those devices all linked up. So
Angry Bonbon said he spent the weekend setting up his iConnectivity MIDI 2 Plus. I hope it didn't take all that long, because that's
somebody just said in the chat room that they've got their iConnect 4 Plus.
I just had a chime in. My iConnect arrived Saturday.
Oh,
so
right. Yeah, that's the guys from the States, from the company, said that they were already going out in the States, and they were just literally on winging their way over here. So
they're on the boat.
They're
on the boat. The Love Boat.
Hooray!
How much are they, by the way? Do we know how much they are in the UK?
180 quid.
Wow, that's good value. Anyway, at this point, we should probably I might do the ad for our sponsors, who are Isotope, and then I can tell you about the competition as well, and you guys can enjoy it, and I can say who the winner was. So let's do all of that stuff. So I'll just mute you guys, and you can cough and all that sort of thing. So yes, thank you very much to our sponsors. Big thank you to Isotope, of course. This week, as with the rest of this month, they've been telling us about RX3, which is the fastest, easiest way to repair and restore audio. Perfectly suited for audio engineering, recording, post-production, archiving, broadcasting, forensics, and more. It delivers cutting-edge tools for treating previously unusable audio, and I can vouch for that. We've used it in our video productions when there's been, off mic and room tone and stuff. You can remove or reduce reverb from vocals, instruments using the de-reverb module. You can also enhance the reverb if you like. Clean up dialogue on the fly with Dialogue Denoiser, which is very good for real time. Monitor your audio and loudness using loudness compliance using Insight. Turn flawed audio into pristine usable material using denoise, declip, decrackle, spectral repair, and more. Currently, RX is on sale through May the 1st, so you've got a little bit of time left. $249 for RX3. That's a registered price of $349, and RX3, that's $749 down from $1199 for RX3 Advanced. So do check it out. If you want to just try it, just go to isotope.com/RX3 and you get a downloadable demo, and you can do your thing. So do check that out. Definitely well worth it. And while we're at it, we will mention our competition, because we have a winner from last week. What I did last week is I asked you to hashtag the word fix the mix, hashtag fix the mix at Sonic Nick and at Isotope Inc. So you send out a tweet like that with addressed at both of us with that hashtag, and the winner, and I'll explain how I did this, is somebody called Shepgo. Shepgo, at Shepgo, SHEPGO. If you make yourself, I'll contact them. Basically, they posted out. What I did is I just counted up the number of entrants as I was doing a search on the hashtag, and got a random number, and then counted up from the earliest up that amount of numbers. Not very scientific. I was trying to figure out if I could do it programmatically, but I needed kind of all sorts of authorization keys to bring it into spreadsheet. I just couldn't be bothered, so I just used my fingers, frankly, and a random number generator. And I figured that was the fairest way. So congratulations, winner number 25, Shepgo. I don't know if they're in the chat room. Yes, Bullart says I'm supposed to say Bullart. I'm very sorry, it's Shepgo. There were lots of people who very kindly entered. So do check out. We're going to have another one this week, though, and I will now, if I go here, you can see you can win Isotope RX3. the same procedure applies. Basically, what you want to do is you tweet the hashtag RX3DClick. That's RX3DClick. And again, you at Sonic Nick and at Isotope Inc. And basically, I will count up and do the same procedure. So one of you lucky tweeters will win a copy of RX3 next week. Well, I announce it next week. So once again, we thank Isotope for sponsorship of Sonic Talk. It's very much appreciated, and you know, helps keep everything working a little bit. Still looking for other sponsors, so if anyone's out there thinking, you know, I'd love to sponsor this show, just give us a call. So that was a bit shameless, wasn't it? Right. So the other thing was, while we're on the subject of Moogfest, I mean, obviously we've said that Rich Hilton is at Moogfest. If I just hit that, it starts today, and they announced the schedule, and there's a lot of stuff. So we've got daytime and nighttime action. So quite a lot to choose from. Chic featuring Nile Rodgers and Giorgio Moroder. I'd like to see that. I'm not quite sure what we get with that. These are, you know, there's a lot of people, a lot of interesting chats and what have you. And I wondered if there was anybody that you, as our guests, Robbie and Gaz, thought you might like to see. Because, I mean, I would love to have gone over there, but sadly, it's actually... just didn't work out that way this time, but we're hoping that perhaps next year we'll have some involvement with it and work out some other interesting things. I know, Robbie, is there anything you've seen on the list? I mean, it's quite an unusual concept, isn't it? Because not only have we got the actual performance aspect, but there's a whole sort of ecosystem based around the creation of electronic music and also electronic engineering and making the creation of electronic instruments, which is... It sounds like it could be a dream day for someone who is as immersed in it as you two guys.
I mean, I love hearing people chat about, you know, their careers and stuff. I mean, I would have liked to see Giorgio Moroder. Interestingly, though, there was a great sort of documentary kind of interview with him last night on Sky Arts 1.
Oh, really?
You know, where you know, when they sit around with some music students and they kind of interview him and they get to ask him questions and stuff.
Oh, that sounds
really
great.
Good. Yeah, so it's worth watching. It's a great series. I've seen one with the guy from, you know, the guy from Fleetwood Mac, the main guy. What's his name?
Mick Fleetwood.
No, the other guy, Lindsey Buckingham.
Ah, okay.
I've seen a few of them, but this one was really interesting, and I had loads of stuff about him I didn't know. But yeah, no, I mean, I'd love to go to one of those events. I mean, I'm not sure about the electrical engineering side of, you know. I mean, I'm not particularly very technical like that. So I don't know how much that kind of thing would go over my head. But,
I like the idea of maybe synthesis workshops, though. That would be interesting.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, I know you talked about it a few weeks ago, but since I've got the Euro Rack stuff, I've been really trying to search out, you know, interesting people who've got like an interesting take on, you know, using this stuff, and, you know, interesting demos online of it. Because, you know, there's always stuff you can pick up and learn.
Absolutely.
So I'm always up for that. So, yeah.
Interestingly enough, I've been trying to find... I mean, there's plenty of people who post videos of modular patches, but there's not very many of them who explain exactly what the routing and what's going on. Yeah. And that would be extremely useful. But hey, you know, that's... I guess we'll just have to live with that for the time being. That's something, the niche in the market. Gaz, be nice to go, wouldn't it?
Oh God, yeah. There's loads of cool things on there. You know, to see the talk, I think, with Roger Lynn, Tom Oberheim, Don Buckler, Dave Smith, David Borden. I mean, wow. Are they all going to be on... are they all going to be talking at the same... Is it going to be like a round table of those guys?
What day is that? I'm just... let me have a look. I'm looking at the schedule now. I didn't have that. I haven't memorised the timetable just yet. Blah, blah, Mike Adams. Yeah, that's not it. So it must be Thursday. Community Theatre, Make Magazine. Make Magazine. No, that's not them. Where is that? Pioneers of Electronic Music. Ah, no, it's they're in a 2 to 3. Dave Borden, 3:30 to 4:30. Tom Oberheim, and then there's a Modular Marketplace, which sounds like the sort of place I'd quite like to spend a day. That sounds really good, actually. Yeah. So no, it doesn't look like it. Although there may be other stuff going on there that I haven't seen yet. I'm guessing that's probably like to be on a weekend. Gosh, there's so much of it, isn't there?
Good to see the Dark Star British band are on the lineup. I really like them. We kind of we played a few gigs with them on the tour last year. They're on Warp Records, and they're great in that they do like a live electronic music without a computer to be seen. You know, they're very much of this like young, you know, no computers in a live electronic music with no computers, which is really cool. And when they play, there's a real sense of danger of it all going wrong.
Have they got to do? Are they something to do with the Simian Mobile Disco guys?
Well, they might be. I'm not sure about that. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because we're hoping to have a chat with those guys about that very same thing at some point in the future. So yeah, I'd like to. There's lots of stuff I'd love to see. Legrand is asking in the chat room: is anything being streamed? I don't think it is actually, and I'm guessing because the tickets aren't. You know, they're not low cost. It's a reasonable cost. Let's see. I've got some prices here. Let's have a look. What did I? Night and day. 299. Is that one night and day? Night music or day conference. VIP 499. Yeah, engineer package $1,000. So basically, that means you get one of those synths and attention and you attend the workshop. So I'm wondering whether that makes that synth perhaps a bit more expensive, or single days. So yes, it's not the, you know. So no, they're not streaming it. They're doing it that way. So maybe they'll be videoing it. I don't know, to be honest. There hasn't been any mention of that.
If they don't make that synth commercially, do you think the second-hand value of those things?
Oh, can you imagine?
It's going to be ridiculous.
I think when you get them, imagine you get one signed by, Legacy package. Yeah, somebody. Oh no, not that. Get off. Pop says rather, what the buggery are they selling that for 10k? That's a very good question. Let's have a look. I'll click on the 10k package and we'll see what it says. It is sold out. Bloody hell.
Because there was only one of them.
I don't know how many there were. You get a Moog Voyager. That's it. You get a Voyager XL and flight case. Transport to and from Ashville Regional Airport to Moogfest. A 6-night stay at a posh hotel. 2 seats at an exclusive dinner with Keith Emerson. 2 3-hour synth building workshops. 2 VIP passes. VIPs get in first everywhere. Priority festival check-in. VIP lounge. So basically everything. And Moogfest T-shirt. And gift bag. So that's that's what you get.
But Keith Emerson's a notorious messy eater, isn't he? Food goes everywhere. So gosh,
really?
Is that right?
I might have just made that up.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of that.
Let's propagate that urban myth, even so.
Maybe what they'll do is they'll make spaghetti. Pasta will have jack cords on the end of each end of it, so it'll be like patch cord spaghetti. That would be kind of awesome.
Janelle Monet's doing a talk.
Yeah.
I'm such a huge fan of hers. She's amazing. I think she's the superstar. She's not quite the superstar she needs to be just yet, but she's given a talk, which is quite interesting because
I'll just see what she's talking about. If that's not,
let's have a look.
Let's see. Oh, right. So
on Thursday.
Thursday, right. Musical masterclass with Nile Rodgers on Saturday.
Wow.
Let's see where Janelle Monáe, the Electric Lady. That looks like it's probably women in electronic music, I'm guessing. Maybe.
She's so cool.
Maybe that's it. I mean, I am guessing.
I like the look of that workshop called Analog Vocal Synthesis. I always find that intriguing, that whole area.
Is that with Chris Stack? Because he does quite a lot of stuff with that. They use the TC Electronic stuff, don't you? And then you can yeah.
But I've seen some incredible things online with people with modulars doing all the valve filter stuff, and like I don't know how long they've spent, but making like synths properly speak words and stuff.
That sounds like I've been looking quite a lot recently at those. There's quite a lot of Richard Devine patches, but again, they're not explained how they're made, but they're creating these kind of various different trigger riots and all these, and they just kind of go off and they create. They're like you sort of set them off, twiddle some knobs to kind of change the range, and they just create these pieces of music. I mean, they're a bit too abstract for my liking, but the complexity of them is astonishing. I did discover how to get that vowel sound. I'm just finishing up a review of the IntelliGel Atlantis and that thing where you basically bring in the depth of really high FM rate modulation, say into the filter or the amplitude, and you pull up and down the depth, and you get that yo kind of sound, and that's quite. So I know how to do that. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a good vowel oscillator section on my mutable instruments braids.
Ah, okay.
Do all that stuff. But yeah, people who can actually get it to do proper sentences, pretty impressive.
Let's not forget Kraftwerk, of course. That would be something to look at. I mean, it's a pretty impressive lineup, actually. As the thing is with all of these things, I can't, it's how do you get to see it all? You pay, I mean, obviously, there's a big price, there's the high ticket price, but you sort of want to see all of it and you can't.
Did I tell you about my Kraftwerk experience last year?
No, I don't know if you did. I think.
You tell yours, I'll tell mine.
Oh, excellent.
Well, mine isn't very good, so you can go first.
Oh no! Well, what mine was a few years ago. I got on the guest list with Howard and another DJ friend of mine. We went to see them at Brixton Academy. I can't remember what tour it was. And anyway, we were in the VIP afterwards, standing there. Funnily enough, chatting with Bill Bailey, who was a big fan. He was there, and I was chatting to this guy at the bar for about 20 minutes, asking him what he did and all this stuff. And he was telling me all about his bike riding and stuff. And it turns out he was one of them. One of the main people at Kraftwerk. Just standing there like Billy No Mates at the bar. And all the mystique of Kraftwerk totally dissipated for me.
Ah, was he not wearing a kind of really strange kind of robotic suit? Did that not give him away?
No, he was wearing like a polo shirt. It was everything was wrong about it.
Oh,
he was a lovely guy. He was just like all the mystique had gone.
Oh, excellent. Gaz?
Well, it's almost the opposite for me because we were doing a gig in Sydney Opera House last year with Carl Hyde, and Kraftwerk were also playing there in one of the different spaces there, and I went into the green room, and it's huge, the green room in Sydney Opera House, and the only other people in there was some guys from Kraftwerk, and I was walking across the room. I thought, I'd go say hello. I was walking across this big room, and the guy turned around, and he gave me the most fierce Teutonic stare. I kind of got really scared, so I ran away. I thought, he looked so fierce, but I'm sure it was. I'm sure he's very nice.
Oh.
But
it wasn't the guy I met then.
But what happened last year? I saw them again in the Latitude Festival. And they were playing on the main stage, and I think this was just a bad planning. There's just such reverence around Kraftwerk, and rightly so. They're incredibly important, but they shouldn't have been on the main stage because they were doing their 3D show, and they had these like video screens either side of the main stage. But the Latitude Festival is quite a big festival, but these screens are relatively small, so you had the audience wearing 3D glasses, and lots of people I could just hear people muttering and complaining, youngsters who had no idea who these men were stood on stage, sort of being very boring, with this 3D on these small little screens. When you stood, at a music festival so far back, like the 3D on the little screens, because it's almost like a lot of like 8-bit graphics. And these blokes stood there. People are just going, God, this is a load of bollocks. Or, just really being incredibly reverent about it.
Telling it like it is to them. Yeah.
A little bit. And I was just thinking, ooh. And it wasn't just a few people. It was a lot of people. I heard a lot of people just muttering about how dreadful it was. And I just thought, ooh, I've never heard people...
Feedback, aren't they?
Well, it's a romantic.
Festivals are about feedback with the audience, and when you have those kind of acts that they run their thing and nothing interrupts it, and there's no interaction, I guess that is quite an alien thing for people to deal with at a festival like that.
Yeah.
If it's not the right setting.
No, I think that's probably right. Maybe it's not the best place to.
But also, young people have got no class anyway, as we all know.
You're going to sound like old farts there, Gaz.
Oh, yeah, I am.
You sound like one, Gaz. I was introduced to, is it Ralph? At, It was at Music Messe a few years ago. I was on the Schneider's Brewer stand, and we were just sort of looking around, and he was going, "Oh, I got you can meet Ralph. Meet Ralph. Ralph's coming. Kraftwerk guys are coming." He said he talked to you as well, and it was like, "Oh wow, cool." I was like, "My God!" But I had absolutely zero notice whatsoever. It's like, "Do you want to interview Ralph from Kraftwerk?" It's like, "Yeah, of course I do," with no preparation whatsoever or research. So build up. We're looking around all the other stuff. It was quite a small booth, I remember that year, and Andreas Schneider, who's fantastically eccentric and really enthusiastic about everything, sort of was just running around. Yeah, I'll be here in a minute. And then he showed up. I think it's online somewhere. I must have posted it on Sonic. And then Ralph shows up, and he's just like Sylvester McCoy, like a completely mad uncle who just won't talk about anything. And they try this sort of comedy routine in not their native language, and then he went away. It was really surreal. So I filmed this thing, and I'm like, yeah, that's weird. And we didn't get to talk about anything to do with Kraftwerk. I think the thing was, we were just, yeah, he's coming now. Oh yeah, he doesn't want to talk about Kraftwerk. I think was what happened. So it was kind of like, I was built up, and then it all went, deflated, which was a shame.
They were selling a load of gear recently. There was an auction. I don't know if it's still running. Selling off loads of stuff from their studio.
Ah, Kling Klang.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All sorts of weird things.
Stuff that won't interface with anything else.
Yeah, there was like custom vocoders, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, that sounds good. I bet you there. It was Florian, the governor says. Are you sure it wasn't Florian? Yes, it was Florian Schneider. It was Schneiders and Schneider. That's right. I remember now. My memory didn't serve me well. Thank you for that. Just like to. I don't know if that makes any difference to anybody. It was one of them. Whatever. One of the Kraftwerks. Yes, it was Florian. Said Red Walks. Let's have a look then. Yeah, but it's good. Anyway, good. Let's do this. This is a Pringles organ. What's not to like about this? That allegedly is an actual organ made of Pringles, but I'm looking at that and listening to the sound it makes. I don't think that is at all. It's a load of MIDI triggers, isn't it? It's got to be.
When you say made of Pringles, do you mean Pringle tubes?
Yes, I think I actually meant Pringle tubes. Thank you very much. That was, yeah. That's just for those who want to get the facts straight. That was made of Pringle tubes, and it was actually by somebody called Fall on Your Sword, who are an art collective from Brooklyn, New York. They took on the challenge of using the cans to create works of art with hot glue guns ablazing. Now, I think I've got some pictures here, but I'm pretty sure, listening to that sound, that there's no way that was actual air being piped through Pringle tubes. I'm pretty.
That's what they're claiming.
I know. But did you? There was a bell, for goodness' sake. It doesn't make a bell. Look, I'm going to play it again. Listen. There's a bell. There's stuff that's making really quite rich harmonics, and look, there's sort of those. They're just bending. There's just no way. They're MIDI triggers. Yeah, it's a hoax. I'm calling hoax, but it's kind of fun. We have talked about Pringles before because they are. What's the word? Deliciously percussive, aren't they? Pringles tubes. They remember there were all those videos we did. I think we did something a few years ago where there were all these videos on YouTube of people drumming with Pringles cans, and that was really awesome. Using chopsticks and stuff, making drum kit release. Yeah, what is that? Yeah, April 1st release. There says Azia says pop in the. Let me have a look. No, that was on the 19th of March. So. I don't think it is. Lily Butler for Pringles. This is a sponsored post, isn't it? And there's the raw materials. Glue guns. Hot glue guns are fab. And what is it? Hold on. There's. I just want to say it does look good. I mean, it looks a bit like a Pringles display case that you just pick them up and go, "I'll have some originals, please." Or is that the green ones? What are those? They're sour cream and chives, aren't they? And the red ones are originals. I wonder whether
the way that's cropped, it looks like a Pringles armchair.
Yeah, it does a bit. Or as is mentioned in the article, something akin to the Game of Thrones, Iron Throne. There's some more pictures. That one, perhaps. You can, if you're feeling inspired to create your own artistic masterpiece out of Pringles, do it. And then you can send a photo to pringles@gorka.com with Pringles Art Contest as the subject line. You'll have a chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to the Silent Disco in San Francisco, presented by Pringles. Interesting.
Wow.
That's, yeah. But sadly, looking at that now, I'm thinking perhaps that wasn't actually all that real. It was somebody made something maybe out of Arduino or a MIDI bridge or something and just kind of was triggering stuff off camera. Like that. What was that? That sounded like one. Who was that? Was that you, Gaz? Oh, how strange! It just sounded like a sine wave suddenly appeared at the at one of the inputs.
Oh, I think it must be Robbie sending me something.
Send him an
email.
VCS. All right, then let's try another one. VCS3 emulations. I've got this little video here. This is a shot of the Zills Lab Zills 3 version 2 demo by Lotus Ear. Zills Lab have made this kind of Zills Lab's emulations are awesome. This is the one that they did of the I forgot what it was.
Russian thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just.
Was it Russian or French?
French. Oh, that's just brilliant. That was.
Yes.
So here's a bunch of patches. It's just a preset tour. You shouldn't be able to make a sound like that on a VCS3, to my mind. That sounds far too. But anyway, that's not the point of this. The point is, so you got that, which is, if I come here, this is their Zills Lab, there's Zills 3. I think it works out at about, I think they use iLock for protection, which obviously...
You can have, no, they do iLock. They're weird, that company, because I agree with you, they're brilliant. I've used them from the start. The Polycobalt one's brilliant. And
that constantly variable weight.
String machine.
Yeah.
The string machine one. But I mean, they're weird because you can choose to do Synchrosoft or iLock.
Huh.
I don't know any other company that give you the choice of choosing that.
No, I think I've got an iLock with VCS with the Polycobalt on, which I did a review back of it, and there's something that continually variable waveform on the oscillator just sounds, and you can modulate that, and it sounds. I mean, I'm a fan of pulse width modulation. This is like pulse width modulation on steroids. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a bit underrated, I think, that company. I really do think.
I think that's possibly because of maybe it's the copy protection thing. I don't know. I mean, because I don't know whether we could have a discussion about whether that enhances or hinders the proliferation.
Hinders.
But at the same time, I think this is about. Let me see. I was going to say it is 149 euros. But at the same time, we've got this IVCS3, which is by Apesoft, which we review in our forthcoming. There's a new, not this one coming out, but Sonic Touch after that. And this is the iPad version. And obviously this one is $20. It's kind of difficult to think, because we're getting these dual emulations of things that are working out. I mean, it's just interesting, the whole kind of pricing concept of how this works, because obviously if they sound as good as one another, then you would necessarily go for the cheap one, because you could, I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of companies, aren't there, that do this. Like, there's all the Sugar Bites things you can get, which you can get like the Tornado and the other one, I forgot what it's called now, with sort of stuttering and glitching. And like I say, there's like one price for that, and then there's like another price to get one to have the privilege of running it as an AU or a VST. And with something like the iConnect MIDI 2 Plus, if you really want to use those tools, there's no reason why you can't integrate them to some extent using your iPad. Yeah,
it would seem to make sense, wouldn't it? But it's got to be a very difficult situation in terms of how do you do this? Because I'm guessing there must be. I mean, if you want to create for both platforms simultaneously, I imagine the development cycle is going to be more complex, because obviously they probably don't share quite the same code base or certainly the same graphics resources. But so it must be quite tricky.
I think that might be the reason. But I mean, it's kind of, in terms of functionality, something like the VCS3, it sort of lends itself better to a touch interface, really, doesn't it? Because you can touch on that matrix, that pin matrix, the controls, everything's kind of. So it seems strange in a way that, okay, the code is different, but the actual user experience, you could argue that the iPad one is actually is better,
Maybe. I mean, I think without giving too much away about what we said about it in the forthcoming Sonic Touch, because it won't be out for a little while, it feels like it needs a much bigger iPad to be, for that experience to hold true, I would guess. But yeah. Sorry. I was going to say as well. You're talking about how if you're developing it for AU and for VST, whether that adds cost to the. I mean, I don't know. Would it? To the development, I guess it must make it more difficult because obviously, I think the graphics and laying all of that stuff out probably does take quite a while to get sorted out.
But I mean, there's, you're not talking about just half price or quarter price. You're talking about what, a factor of 10, I think it's
yeah. Well, the IVCS 3 is $14.99 US, and the Zills Lab is €149. So roughly dollar to euro is about parity-ish. So yeah, it's nearly a factor of 10, isn't it?
10, yeah.
I mean, I've never had. I mean, that's one of those synths I've never even had any experience using in the real world. So I have got nothing to base it on really in terms of how realistic they are. I do have fun with it. I really don't know what I'm doing a lot of the time.
Oh, you using the Zills Lab Zills 3 then? You are using it?
Yeah. I've got it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And I do have fun getting things out of it, but I don't fathom half the time what's going on. So I know if somebody put one of those hardware in front of me, I'll probably be exactly the same. I don't know if you have.
I think that's most people's experience of a VCS3. I mean, I borrowed one for about 6 months, and yeah, I was completely flummoxed by it the whole time. And I just, I think you try to make stuff on the VCS3, and it always comes out kind of, or something along those lines.
Howard's manager's son is in his spare time used to do buying and selling antiques, and he was at a car boot once, and somebody tried to sell him one of those, a mint condition for tenner, and he thought it was like some crappy old oscilloscope or something, and he turned it down.
Oh my word!
His mate came along and bought it, and then sold it for about $5,000.
Oh my word!
Yeah, it's horrendous, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah.
I just want to say, actually, we seem to have Atomic Shadow in the chat room, who is a great composer and maker of interesting contact instruments as well, if it's the same guy. He was saying the IVCS3 has an impulse response of the real thing spring reverb, which sounds really good. Yes, I want to say welcome. We've got a bit of a celebrity chat room there. We've got, and I think I saw John Van Eaton in there as well. Kent Spong, yeah.
Kent.
Nice to have a fulsome chat room with. Yes, anyway, but one of the points in the chat room was, in fact, you've got to factor in the price of an iPad. Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to go down that route, you've got to factor in the price of a computer capable of running AU units. Which I would venture is a much greater amount. Atomic Shadow says he beta tested it, so there we go. Do check out Atomic Shadow's stuff. Actually, he's got some great music, really interesting. He used to post on YouTube, but I think he moved over to Vimeo. If you search him out, you can check out his music. It's really good stuff, very atmospheric, kind of oscillator based. I think you use those RCA. Is it RCA oscillators? I can't remember.
That wonderful wall of all sorts of quirky bits of equipment.
And he wears a lab coat, which is all right in my books.
I thought you stopped the lab coat.
Does he have biros in the pocket?
You should. Analog biros. You'd have to, wouldn't you? That's good stuff. Right, okay, we're whipping through the topics now. But if you're interested in the IVCS3, I mean, obviously you've got a choice there. I mean, I would venture probably the best thing to do is buy, if you've got the iPad version, buy that first. And if you really love it, then get the other one, or buy
Dave,
that and an iConnect MIDI 2 Plus, and then which is about the same price, and then you get interaction between your iOS device or your iPad and the real world, and you run it as a plugin.
Ouch! That's kind of that's a good point.
Sorry, what did you say?
I was just going to say Dave probably got a good take on those software ones. Yeah, he's got proper, doesn't he?
He's got an AKS, which is the one in the suitcase, which is the one I've always wanted. Ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted one of those, and it's just and for the same reason, I know I've said this before, I'll say it again because I never tire of it. I also want one of the Buchla 2 systems which come in the case. I mean, it's just a synthesizer in luggage. I mean, what the hell, is there not
Someone's
to like?
Made a new one of this, haven't they? There's like this new suitcase synth called the Hornet or something. It's black and gold. Have you seen that?
Yes, and that's a VCS3, isn't it? A Hornet,
yeah, and it's like it's like about $7,000 or something, but I mean, it looks, for gear porn, that certainly looked great.
I'm looking at it now. Hold on, Hornet portable modular synthesizer. Yes, there it is. Look at that. That's on Synthtopia. God damn you, Synthtopia, and your SEO. Yeah. That's it. That looks like it's in a nice one of those Pelican cases.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty, isn't it? It's about $5,000. You buy the kit. I think Azio had said it in the chat room. He was building that.
Really?
Did I get that right? It may have gone past. Oh no, I've zoomed everything up too big now.
I know someone who's just built the 2600. The ARP 2600 clone. So I want to go and check it out.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds cool. I was going to ask you. We did talk a little bit about your experiences with the, excuse me, with the Stephen Slate Raven MTI, but I didn't really operationally, because you were talking about the software layer. Operationally, how did you find it? What was the sort of latency and the concept of doing that thing?
That side of it, it seemed I didn't really perceive latency being a problem. What I kind of found frustrating was as soon as you put your hands on a touch device like that, all your thinking goes to how you use an iPad. And you go, I just want to scroll along. I just want to make that bigger. And of course, it doesn't do any of that stuff. Because that's all iOS stuff, and it just doesn't do it. So, it's a bit frustrating. You keep going to do things that it actually physically can't do, because I guess it could do if Apple opened that up for developers to do, but it doesn't essentially do all those things that you want a touchscreen to do. So. I'm just left thinking, how useful is it? Apart from the fact that, for me, the greatest thing about it was seeing all my plugins 2 or 3 times the size right in front of my nose. Yeah, that was really
it's the Mr. Magoo angle, right?
Yeah, that was really the only thing that was starting to seduce me about it.
You could just get a really massive magnifying glass.
Yeah. Or you could just get a monitor and put it on a lower resolution and have it right in front of you along your other monitors.
Yeah. Just that news break. Sonic 3651 says there are 3 Moog Sonic 6s on eBay right now if you like a suitcase. That sounds good. That is also a synthesizer I'm very delighted with, but I imagine a Moog Sonic 6 is going to set me back a considerable amount of money. Dare I even look? I don't know.
I've always wanted the what's it called? The one that's got the touch panel, the Source.
Yes, me too. There's something.
I just love the look of it. I just think it's a lovely looking instrument.
Yeah. The only problem is when you get those, the membranes go on them, and they are a pig to fix. Apparently, I'm sure.
There's a company who make new membranes. I've total replica membranes for it.
Oh right, okay.
But anyway, it's one of those synths. I always look at it when I think about getting a synth, and I look on eBay and all this. But they're quite often they get really tatty because the aluminium's got like a plastic coating,
right?
And so they get all like peeling. So
a couple of grand apparently are the Sonic 6s. That doesn't sound too expensive. I think I might have to check that out. Well, I haven't got a couple of grand. What am I even thinking? I mean, I'm just curious as to see how much it might cost. But yeah, right. We do have one last topic, which I think was this picture I found. This is again via if you go to Reddit, there's a really good couple of electronic music things and engineering. And this is basically improvisation using unusual hardware to kind of get you through the night as it were. I'm loving this is a closed peg and what looks like I'm not sure what I know that mic, but I can't think what it is. It's a
Bayer M160, is it?
Bayer. There we go. Thanks, guys. So that's obviously micing up the cab. And that's neat. And I'm guessing, you know, being a resourceful bunch, and I know, Robbie, last week you were showing your giant lightsaber, and, you know, what you like to kind of, you know, that kind of hardware improv. Oh, look, Gaz has got there something. Now, what is that? That looks like...
I don't know. That's scary.
These things, you know, there's like kind of foam around a kind of stiffish kind of wire. And now I've got a couple of these. I've used them for years and years and years. You can wrap them tight around mics, you know, and then you can wrap them around other things, or, you know, like mic stands or whatever else you want to fasten it onto. It's a really cool way of, you get them like from, I don't know, I think it was 99p for the pair of them, I think. I've used them an immense amount of times for all sorts of little things, you know, like, as I say, for holding mics, but also for just like propping things, you know. It's a pretty pliable. I think every studio needs some.
That looks like, I'm liking the look of that. It's kind of the flexible Velcro kind of concept. Yeah.
I tell you what I swear by, and everyone always comes to my studio, always doesn't believe I do any work here because they can't see any cables and it's all so tidy. But the secret to my cable success is that crappy metal runner stuff you get. There's cheap stuff you put on the walls, and then you put slot shelving brackets into it.
Yeah,
you know, just the metal runners. I have that on the underside of all my desk, and then you can just slide releasable cable ties through it, and then I can just loom everything up right up against the top of the desk.
I've seen it. I've seen it and was mega impressed by it. It's such a good idea.
It's the most rubbish thing, but it's satisfying because it means there's no cables anywhere. Yeah.
I won't even show you that.
Robbie's studio is an absolute inspiration for. I mean, my studio is a complete mess of tangled cable nonsense, and Robbie's studio is a beautiful, everything neat and organized. It's amazing. It's there's a lot of stuff in there too, so it's dead impressive.
Yeah, no, I can vouch for that. I just turn the lights off, then you can't see the mess. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is the improvisational thing are the ladders up there that I use, the 5 meter ladders. So I've just put ladders up on ladders with joist hangers, which you get from building supplies. So you just slot the ladder ends into the joist hangers, drill them to the wall, and then they'll just hang, and you can take an enormous amount of weight, and we can put lights and Velcro things to it, and that's my you
do your rock climbing practice up there as well?
I don't think I'd recommend doing that, certainly not in the middle. Maybe at one side it might work, but no. But I also, the other thing that I've done, which I'm very pleased of, this is my bit of technology improvisation, is the Raspberry Pi MIDI light switcher. Now this is, you know, the significance of this is enormous. Gaz will know. You know, we were talking, Gaz, about when we
the tally system.
Yeah, when we shoot Sonic Touch, Andy sits here and he switches cameras, and basically, you know, so we just kind of do our thing, and you know, it's brilliant because I used to switch as well, and I can do that here because I'm in control of. I only have to think about a couple of things, you know, and I'm used to it now. But trying to run the show and an interaction with somebody in the room and stage manager and switch is too much. But the problem is when you do that, you don't know which camera you're on. So, you know, in studios, what they have is an on-air light on top of a camera. And to buy a tally system for studio cameras, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's about 500 quid for an interface. And then you have to wire it up and get the lights and relay. And it's just, I mean, it costs more than we would spend on a new set of cameras. You know, it's ridiculous. So I had this idea. I'm going to see if I can get this. So what I've done is this here. So this is the prototype. So we got a Raspberry Pi here, and we have you know, there are these pins in the Raspberry Pi which are called GPIO pins, which just send a little bit of voltage. And then we've got 4 LEDs. And then over here, I've got my iPad, which is a switcher. So I can know camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. Oh, it's not working, of course, now. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear. You're no Steve Jobs
There we
there.
go. No, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, there we go.
So basically, now when you look up, there'll be flashing lights, so they'll be easy to see.
That's ace.
So I'm very pleased with myself for doing that. And
have you got a name for it? Have you got a special name for that product?
You know what? I haven't. I suppose I should have, but I haven't thought about it yet. We'll figure it out. We're going to put it in a case and see what it looks like. But I mean, all it does is take a MIDI signal. I plugged a MIDI interface, which is a cable wire. It costs about £6. It's one of those sort of things, just a MIDI cable with a USB thing on it and 2 MIDI ports. And I've just written some code which just basically reads raw data and just goes, if you see, some sort of hex code that means a note, then if it's got this value, then go and turn a light on. And it's just like, we got it bloody working. Hey! So it was, that was a very exciting day at Sonic Towers. That was. So next time you come over, Gaz, there'll be tally lights.
Ah, that's great. Stops us looking so shifty then, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you're always going you're looking away. Or what I find I'm doing is I'm kind of going, you'll probably see me doing it here where I'm looking away at a screen. I'm trying to see, right, what's the shot I need to look at? So this way you look up and there'll be a flashing light and you can go straight to it. So that's the idea. That's the idea.
Is it going to be like a sort of a police siren light? Those kind of lights?
Yeah, something. No, it's not. It's just a little flashing LED. Nothing kind of, too intrusive because that would obviously spoil the beautiful look of everything.
Chat room suggestion that it should be called Roxanne.
Roxanne.
The red light system.
Very interesting. Roxanne Pie. No, perhaps not. That means something else, doesn't it? Possibly. Anyway, so lots of fun there. Anyway, we're actually going to be, like I say, a bit later on talking to somebody at Moog, hopefully, if everything hooks up properly. We're talking to Steve Dunnington, who's going to tell us a little bit about the Moog Werkstatt. So that's something to look forward to. I'm not sure whether we'll stream that live. If we do, we do. If we don't, then you'll see it soon afterwards. But yeah, I think that's it. As far as I can tell. I mean, the other creative stuff, because I've seen your setup live, Robbie, and a lot of that kind of, you're using some interesting stands. And do you use that, it's like...
oh, yeah, I
don't know what it's called now.
This Ultimate Support made this stuff called Thinker Toys, which was like loads of modular bits and bobs you could do to make studio furniture or anything. And we basically bought up the last ever supplies from them. So we've got like a little kind of reserve of it, but it's all starting to dwindle now. But I've just had redesigned my rig this week, and I've had I'm having this acrylic, I think I might have said, this acrylic case made with everything sunk in. So which has got the LED lighting in. Howard's got the same. So there'll be I won't have to have all these little platforms and stuff live.
There'll just be one case that you can sort of slap the lid on and lock it away, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Put it up, and away you go. Yeah,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There is something about, I think for all of us, if you're involved in music technology, quite a lot of what you're doing is solving problems and figuring out how to create workflows that work for you, and that involves an invention to a certain degree. So I'm sure you're doing it the same. You were talking about all those workstations you've been trying to create that allow you to perform and improvise more easily, and it's just It's part of what we do, I suppose, as electronic musicians, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when it's all, I think there's something incredibly rewarding, isn't it? When everything works.
Yeah, when the light goes on.
Yeah,
and you have to. If you tour, as Gaz knows as well, or Nick knows, when you tour, you realize that you have to make your life as easy as possible and as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just becomes a chore for everybody around you and you. So, everything's got to be, totally sorted. Can't leave anything to chance.
It's interesting, isn't it, when you get that that period in the production rehearsals when the band's been doing an album and they go to rehearsal rooms and the whole thing's kind of being rehearsed, and then the stage crew. The monitors guy often comes in, and the stage manager, he's coming along and he's figuring out how things should go in cases. And there's all this kind of boffinery and design and kind of Heath Robinson action going on. It's like, right, well, if we do this and we connect them this way, that means we only have to have one box with it. And there's all this process that goes on for creating an efficient tour. Because you're right, you know, it's like, I'd imagine the worst nightmare of any kind of anybody showing up to one of these is a whole bunch of old synthesizers held together with kind of wall wart power supplies and patch cables, because you just think this is not going to work, because you know, as a realist, you'd think this is just going to be a nightmare every night, right?
And there's always things you pick up. Like I've got a friend of mine who's putting together the touring stuff for the Thompson, you know, Tom Bailey from the Thompson Twins, because he's on the tour with Howard in America. And he said to me, "Oh, we'll just get these little XLR to MIDI converters, and then we don't have to even carry MIDI cables. Just use XLRs wherever we go from the venue." And I just thought, I've never thought of that before. Such a good simple thing to do. So it's amazing what you can pick up. You know,
Underworld run all their MIDI then into XLRs.
Yeah, I just never thought about it. I mean, it's one of those obvious things.
Yeah, and if you get, you can get little sort of powered units that'll help boost the signal at either end, can't you? So it sort of makes it MIDI a bit more active, and that's kind of quite useful.
Well, we send our MIDI for the video that's sitting at the front of the house. We have these little Ethernet to MIDI boosters by Kenton.
Yeah,
and you can send it for like half a mile down an Ethernet if you want.
And presumably, if you're running Ethernet stage boxes and that kind of as is often the case, do they often come with 3 or 4 cores in them anyway, and then some of them are redundant, so you just piggyback on those, or do you run your own wire?
No, because the Roland, we use the Roland V system, and the unique thing about that system is it carries all the power down the Ethernet as well. So all the stage boxes and monitor boxes on stage, they're all self-powered down the Ethercom cables. So it really is so little cabling.
I didn't know that they did that. That's neat, because that makes a lot of sense, because we've still got the Behringer X32 here, and that runs AES50, but it doesn't power the S16 modules, which are the stage box modules. We haven't got one of those here, but that's a really interesting.
The Behringer system is remarkably similar to the vMixer system in many ways. The little kind of monitor boxes and the stage boxes, all that kind of thing. Yeah, well, remarkably similar.
Yes, but it's also got a lot of differences too, to be fair.
It has.
Let's not go there. As you know, I'm a big fan of the X32. I do think it's a great system, really good system. Okay, well, I think that probably takes us to the logical conclusion of our chat. And nice to have you aboard, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. I know there was only 3, but I think we held our own very well. So I'll say we'll go to you, Gaz, and say thank you very much for joining us. It really did enjoy having you this week. Are you still getting on okay with your Electron? There it is. Pride of place.
Yeah, it's a very interesting piece of kit. I find it's it's a challenging piece of kit, as I think everybody knows. But I'm going to try and make some videos about it, I think, because I'm intrigued. I'm really enjoying the poly mode when you have it cycles through each of the tracks. So when you play, first note is track 1, next note is track 2, next note is track 3.
Oh yeah.
And getting into playing with it that way, which I suppose I was quite inspired, because I was using that on the iSem, because the old but the old Oberheim thing worked like that, didn't it? So you'd get the variation. So I'm copying the patch across into all four slots, and then setting up, modifying the patches. So then it's just really exciting, and then having the joystick doing different things on each of the tracks. So as you play with the joystick,
there's a lot of routing possibilities there, aren't there?
Yeah,
well, I'm glad you're having fun. I'm still going to try. I'm trying to build an Ableton Live setup where I can create a load of frozen reverbs and just create these pads and then jam over the top of them. And that's my next job, to see if I can create some pieces on the fly, because I really enjoyed doing that, and everybody seemed to respond incredibly generously to all of that sort of whittling over stuff. And there's more of that.
It sounded great.
There's
a great reverb by Audio Damage called EOS, which does a lovely frozen reverb.
Does it sound on sound reverb? Because that's the thing that I've been finding difficult. Does it just freeze where you are and then add to it?
I think it might yeah, I know what you mean. I think it might freeze where you are.
That's the tricky part, because what I found with the Quantum Room Simulator, the QRS, which I mistakenly said was Australian and not Austrian, is that it's got a sound on sound reverb, so you can keep. But you can do the same thing. What you can do that in the live reverb. But all you got to do is just make the tail, like, you know, infinite, or so it's 99 seconds. So you just keep feeding stuff into it, and then you hit freeze, and it's frozen that kind of slice. So you can do it. It's just
another good technique to use on Ableton Live is put the looper on the on, like, say an auxiliary send, and just have it constantly looping. Overdub looping round and round and round and round, and then you can just keep sending mush into that, and then it, you know, so you can have like a reverb going into the looper. So it
okay. Does it does it crossfade okay?
Yeah, it does actually.
Okay.
It's I think it works. Yeah, it crossfades the loop. It's nice. It seems to be pretty glitch free. Well,
relatively, just make it a long loop.
Relatively,
notice. Anyway, guys, we're heading off into another topic territory. But yes, thank you very much for your input, and hope you all have a great week following on from this one. And stay tuned. I don't know whether there's going to be anything coming out. I imagine there'll be people posting stuff from Moogfest during the week. We're going to try and keep a search on it and maybe run some pictures and just impressions from it. And hopefully we'll have Rich on next week's show, and he'll tell us what it was like actually being there, because they're performing as Chic. Anyway, so Robbie, thank you very much for joining us. Been a pleasure to have you. I feel like I've been here already. And I'll say this is my second goodbye. Thank you, Robbie, anyway, for joining us. It's been great. And also Gaz Williams, thank you there, gazwilliams.me. Oh yes, don't forget, check out Robbie's stuff, Sushi Friday Music on Facebook.
We're starting up again next week. We've got 28th, 29th and 30th. We're back in the studio.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And that's it from this week. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to hit the fade to black button. Ooh.